Rodney Beard, and welcome to the Tennessee Tribune Forum. I'm pastor of the Living Word Community Church in Antioch, Tennessee. But one of my bigger tasks is the fact that I am the president of the National Action Network for Greater Nashville. I received a case from the national office some time ago about a young lady whose baby was put into DCS custody with a diagnosis of child abuse by Vanderbilt University. Now, the mother stated that the child was born prematurely at 31 weeks and at 3.4 pounds. She works in the healthcare field and researched everything there was to know about having a premature child. And she has been extremely fastidious in her care of her baby. At 6 months rather, and almost 5 pounds maybe, Marcus had a hernia removed. And then 2 months later, this concerned mother found that her child was breathing erratically and took him to the doctor to find out what was wrong. The doctor referred her to go immediately to Vanderbilt University, which she did. As she and her family were sitting there waiting on some sort of diagnosis, the police comes in, DCS, the doctors, and accuse Nakisha Moore and Mark England of child abuse. They accused them of that because the child was suffering from some sort of fractures in his rib area. Now, Nakisha, who is, like I said, in the healthcare field and had researched these things, immediately began to make suggestions as to which tests needed to be taken because she was very familiar, and they refused to do it. So in the meantime, the baby, Marcus, was put with a brother, and that didn't work out. Then put with a grandmother who was elderly and an aunt who was not emotionally all that. And that didn't work out. And then they took the baby and put the baby in possession of a family in Brentwood in foster care. During that time, Marcus has suffered, to say the least. He's a year old now. He's been in custody for how long?
Since January 10th.
Since January 10th. He's suffering from seizures, and he's only 17 pounds at 1 year old, and he's not walking. So I have here with me Nakisha Moore, Marcus England's mother, and his devoted father, Mark England. This case is personal for me. I mean, I've gotten to know them, and I just feel so strongly about the way it is that their case has been handled. Nakisha actually was able to get a second opinion or diagnosis from Centennial Medical Center, Dr. Revi Matthew, who told her that the baby had not been abused, but suffers, because of his premature birth, suffers from a condition known as generalized osteopenia, which is a bone condition, and he wasn't abused. He definitely wasn't abused. Upon finding that out, Nakisha immediately went back to her DCS worker, I don't know if I should call her name, I'd love to, who refused to return the baby to her because of the system under which they work. But now Marcus is a year old. Mark and Nakisha had to celebrate his birthday away from home. He's not in their possession, has been gone since January. DCS will not return the child to the family, even knowing that he was not abused but has a congenital condition due to his premature birth. And so they're here today with me, and I just want to introduce them to you and let you know, listen, this is an egregious, a terrible situation. In my opinion, I think that she and Mark have been marginalized and stereotyped, and that Vanderbilt is incompetent. And that's why I want to talk with them. Not only is Vanderbilt incompetent, but DCS and the rules that they go by are archaic. I think that DCS didn't properly vet this couple. I think that they didn't do their due diligence to make sure a child just wasn't snatched away from their parents. And I think that they're covering up now that they know. The only right thing to do right now is to return her baby now. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
So tell me how it felt being accused of child abuse when you knew you didn't abuse the child.
It just took a toll of me that they will accuse me of saying that I mistreated my baby when I was there for him the whole time. When he was in NICU, I was up there, didn't leave his bedside unless it was, you know, I had to take care of business regarding him.
So now you do work in the healthcare industry?
Yes.
And where do you work?
I work at Middle Tennessee Mental Institution. I also work at Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt?
Yes.
The people who stole your baby away?
Yes.
What about you, Mark? How did you feel about it? Where do you work? What do you do?
I work at Vanderbilt.
Oh, you work at Vanderbilt.
Yes, at Storage and Services. I've been at Vanderbilt for 3 years. And I just feel hurt. Words can't describe I feel hurt.
I know. Well, get yourself together because I'm going to be talking to you. You're getting emotional. Well, that's good, though. It's going to be okay. We're going to get your baby back. All right, so what did they say when they came into the room, Nakisha?
Well, the first thing they were saying, they told me, who have your baby been around since he's been born? And the first thing I said was, you all, because he was here for 3 weeks in the NICU, because he was born premature. So I wasn't allowed to take him home.
And so he was at Vanderbilt for 3 weeks
Yes.
before you could take him home?
Mm-hmm. And at the hospital at Vanderbilt.
When he had the hernia surgery, I mean, where was the hernia? I mean, how did that occur? Is it just, I mean, how did a hernia occur?
Well, we noticed it. We was always changing it. And I asked his father, I said, what is this? And I took him to the doctor at Vanderbilt. They was like, oh, he's premature to go down. Don't worry about it. Because I was concerned about him because when he urinated, he had like a little bit of blood in his urine.
So they misdiagnosed that as well?
Yes. When he got a second opinion at Centennial with a urologist, and as soon as he looked at it, he said he needs surgery right away.
Okay, so Vanderbilt has primarily misdiagnosed your baby a total of, at this point in our conversation, twice.
Yes.
They misdiagnosed the hernia. And they misdiagnosed the osteopenia.
Yes.
Penia, is that how it's pronounced?
Yes.
Osteopenia or penia?
Penia.
Penia, osteopenia. And so, you know, it seems that they have, especially in this case, and I'm told that there are plenty others, it seems that they have a history of misdiagnosing cases and accusing parents of abuse and doing things that haven't occurred.
Yes.
Have you heard of anybody else that has said that about Vanderbilt?
Well, it's a case that I heard a while back. They was telling me that a lady, her son was misdiagnosed.
Yeah, I heard of one too, a white couple. And I've also heard, since I've been researching this story, that that's not uncommon. Why do you, okay, so they misdiagnosed him twice and you ended up losing your baby. How long has that been? Did we say January?
January 10th.
January 10th. That's been all those months. How does it feel, Mark, not being with your child, man? I mean, here's a picture of him. He looks just like you.
It's hurting, especially when we go places and we see other little kids. It just hurts.
Now, you were raised in foster care, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
Tell us about that.
It wasn't pretty. She treated us different. And you wouldn't expect that from someone who would want the children to take care of. It wasn't right.
So, but in foster care, and I don't know anything about it too much, they get paid to take care of those kids. Is that correct?
Yes, they do.
So they get a check for taking care of somebody else's kid while the litigation or whatever goes on? Okay.
Yes.
All right, so once he was diagnosed, he had the hernia, and then he was diagnosed with that. Tell me how it is, Nakisha, that you dealt with him. Now, I know that you had done your homework on the fact that your child is premature. You were fully prepared to be able to deal with any situation that comes along because you had educated yourself. What did you do when they accused you of being an abusive mother?
I told Mark, because I didn't leave the hospital, and Mark had to go to work, so when he went home, I told him to bring a laptop so that I can research this, and he brought me pads and pens so I can see what's going on. And I also had a list of things that I researched that were Not dramatic testing, but just simple blood work for the doctors to do.
Did you ask them to do it?
I asked them to do it.
Now, when I researched this, I found that there were several tests that would have proven the existence of this malady in your premature child, and that now when I mean, this is like almost at the top of the list. Is that correct?
Yes.
Particularly with premature children.
Yes.
And osteopenia or penia is at the top of the list. Now, when I did the research, what I found out immediately was that with a child who had a gestational period of less than 32 weeks, what was Marcus's gestational period?
31 weeks.
31 weeks, and around a poundage of, let's say, 3.3 pounds. What was Marcus at birth?
3.4 pounds.
3.4 pounds. What I read, and I have a link here, I have several links here, EDNF and others, WebMD. What I read was that children who are born in that situation are almost 90%, 80%, it is 80% sure that they will have these type of maladies. Is that what you understood?
Yes, sir.
So what did you suggest? You suggested the blood tests.
Yes.
What other tests did you suggest or you asked them to perform?
It was just simple blood work, and they told me it was unrealistic. It would take months because the lab was outside the country.
Lab was outside the country. Vanderbilt?
That's what they told me. And Marcus' godfather's a doctor, so when he came there, it was a turnaround. They was like, Miss Moore, we're going to get those tests done, but we have to wait till Monday. Okay,
so when they found out that his godfather was a doctor, you know, the time speeded up.
Yes.
Okay, so was there any suggestion of any sort of radiology examination? Did you make that suggestion?
Yes, I asked for the radiologist to come to the bedside to go over the x-ray because nobody could read it to me. They didn't actually read the x-ray, they read the notes that the radiologist.
They read the notes, and they didn't bring the radiologist in, so you didn't speak with a radiologist before they took your child.
Right, they said it was unrealistic for the radiologist to come to the bedside.
Okay, so they took your baby, they put him through the system, they put you all through a living hell, obviously.
Yes.
I would say it's a form of terrorism. Would you, Mark?
Yes.
I mean, because I can see it on your face. You know, Nakisha seems to be the one who's kind of, you know, that, I'm gonna get him. And Mark seems to be the one that's suffering the most. Would you say?
We're both suffering.
I know. Okay, so they put the baby through all these paces. They put you all through this terroristic sort of comedy, not comedy, or drama of era after era, taking your baby, more or less putting the baby somewhere that it shouldn't be. Now you did say that while he was in possession of relatives, you were able to take the baby to the doctor.
Yes.
How many doctor's visits would you say you've taken him on?
It's so many because I have a history of hypothyroidism/Graves' disease, so I see an endocrinologist, and so he has inherited my thyroid problem.
Has he? And is that a part of the problem as well?
Yes.
Are the medical, I would not want to call them professionals at this point, but are the medical individuals that you are in a relationship with relative to the fact that your child is sick, are they aware of those things?
Yes, they are.
And still didn't examine the baby. Okay, so because your baby was with relatives, you were able to take him to the doctor. Did you ever miss a doctor's visit?
The only one I missed was one, and it was snowing outside.
When it was snowing, you couldn't go.
I couldn't go, and they threw that in my face.
What was it illegal for you to take your baby to the doctor? Did they have you under some sort of restraining order where you all couldn't see your child? I mean,
Yes.
were you told not to go around the baby?
No.
You could see the baby as much as you wanted?
Yes.
At any time?
Yes.
Is that still the case?
No, it's not the case anymore.
Why is that not the case now?
Because he's in foster care.
Okay, once he went to foster care, you didn't have access. But before before the baby got into foster care, because he was with family, and you were able to take him to the doctor, that wasn't illegal. That wasn't. Okay. Now, you finally took the baby for a second opinion. Where did you take Marcus?
Took him to an endocrinologist at Centennial.
Okay, so once again, you take your baby to Centennial, and what did they tell you there?
He told me to bring the medical records from Vanderbilt and also bring the x-ray from Vanderbilt so he can look at the slideshow.
Okay.
And that's what I did the following day.
And what happened as a result of that?
He told us to come in for a follow-up appointment, and he told us that Marcus has osteopenia.
Osteopenia. Yeah, that's an odd word. It's a form of osteoporosis. It actually means that, you know, there's a lack of bone density or the bones are thinner. I also read that when those diagnoses come down, that doctors already know with a premature child that there is a possibility of that, and that injuries derived from that it wasn't an injury, and that the fractures from osteopenia look different than fractures that would have been inflicted by the hand of an adult. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so just looking at it, if they had even cared, they would have seen that it wasn't an injury, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you get a second diagnosis, right? It proves that you have not abused your child. Is that correct?
Correct.
And it is in writing. I've seen, I have all of the baby's medical documents. I'm sure you have one there. Look at all this stuff you got in your lap. Okay, so osteopenia is not the same as an injury. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And a doctor or an endocrinologist or a radiologist would be able to tell that right off. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yes.
So why do you think it is that they made such a hasty decision to take your baby away?
That's what we're trying to figure out.
Okay. All right, so they put your baby in foster care, and you've been without your child since January. How is the baby faring, you know, without his parents?
He knows what's going on because every time he sees us, when we do get to see him, he's just happy. And then when we leave him, he's like looking around like, what's going on? And he's emotional and he's crying.
So he knows you're his parents.
Yes.
He wants to be with you.
Yes.
And DCS is keeping him away from you.
Yes.
Because they accuse you of being child abusers.
Yes.
They accuse you of being child abusers. How have you been treated under this situation of being called a child abuser? How have you been treated? How do you feel?
They're treating us like criminals.
Mm-hmm. Who treats you that way?
Vanderbilt and DCS.
So you're guilty until proven innocent.
Yes.
You've been proven innocent, and now you're still guilty.
Yes.
That's crazy. I don't even understand that. Okay, so foster care. Now, I asked you how the baby is doing right now. Is he growing normally? How much does he weigh? Is he walking? How's his cognition skills and all of those things?
Well, he's not walking yet. They just found out that he has seizures. When I took him to, again, Vanderbilt, another misdiagnosis, they did an MRI.
Okay, wait a minute. Whoa. Now we had 3 misdiagnoses at Vanderbilt.
Yes.
3.
Yes.
See, I don't even know what to say about that. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm getting emotional. And you know, when she gets emotional, I get emotional, right? Because I just hate this so bad. So me and you're going to have to be strong, okay? You look strong. Go ahead.
Well, they told me that his his brain was a little bit smaller than what it's supposed to be. And I asked them, what does that mean? What does that mean? And they said, oh, there's nothing you can do about it. He'll be all right. He's just premature. So everything led up to prematurity.
Everything that happens to him is a result of his prematurity, except the osteopenia. Is that correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Everything else is associated with him being a preemie.
Yes.
That's so crazy. Okay, so they misdiagnosed that. Now, who properly diagnosed that situation, or have you?
The doctors at at Centennial.
So why do you keep taking him to Vanderbilt?
Well, this was before, because the reason why I kept taking him to Vanderbilt, because I thought they did a thorough job when they treated us different when he was premature They ran a lot of tests. They, you know, educated us. They gave us things. And it was just like, oh, this place is a wonderful place. And I had nothing bad to say at that point. And I was like, well, let me continue to take my baby to Vanderbilt. But then once they accused us, they treated us like criminals. The only reason why they kept him in the hospital the last time was because he stopped breathing. And they had to rush him to the...
As a result of the osteopenia.
Yes.
Yes.
Isn't that something? Okay, so 3 misdiagnoses, 1 major accusation that has caused them to take your baby away. Now, you know, okay, so have you all been having to spend money to prove your case?
Yes.
Do you have a lawyer?
I have a free lawyer now because I couldn't afford the one that I wanted. So I had to spend money for consultations to see the lawyer. And also, we have to spend money on the 8th, July the 8th, to take a mental health evaluation. And
Who had to have a mental health
we
evaluation?
both do.
Why?
It's a protocol of DCS.
A protocol of DCS based on the fact that they feel that you abused your child.
Yes.
And now they know you didn't. And they're still putting you through the ringer.
Yes.
Come on, tell me if that's fair. I don't understand. Okay, so now he suffers with seizures. Did I ask you how much he weighs?
He weighs 17 pounds.
At 1 year old?
Yes.
How much should he weigh?
He's premature, so I'm not, they didn't really give us an accurate weight when I asked. They just said he should be bigger than that, but he sees a nutritionist.
He's seeing a nutritionist. Well, I mean, don't you think he gained weight if he would come home to his mama and daddy and y'all gave him some peas and carrots and mashed potatoes?
Yes.
I mean, you know, because one of the things I learned about this condition was that nutrition was very important, and that the proper diet and those types of things, enable the child to be able to catch up, so to speak. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now you were breastfeeding too, is that correct?
Yes.
And I'm sure that had a big effect on it. Is that correct?
Yes.
So he's been denied his mother's milk, his mama and daddy's love, the home that you all have for him, the place where he should be, all because of a misdiagnosis at Vanderbilt Hospital.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
3 misdiagnoses.
Yes.
Okay. All right. The doctor that properly diagnosed him at Centennial, his name is Dr. Revy Matthew, and he was the one that determined this generalized osteopenia. And I have a copy of Dr. Matthews' report along with Marcus's other medical records, and hopefully somebody will want to look at this and look into it, because all they want is their baby back. Is that right?
Yes.
You know, I suggested y'all file a lawsuit. She said all we want is our baby back.
Yeah, that's
You know, I've even talked to lawyers for you, but you know, lawyers won't take these cases because there's not enough, they don't see the money in it. But I think a $7-8 million lawsuit against Vanderbilt should be sufficient for an attorney. Okay, so they got your baby. Now, what happened in the meantime? How did it affect you, Mark, when it came to the fact that your baby is in foster care? How does that? How does that? How does that feel? You were in foster care, and now your child is in foster care. When you're a good father, a great provider, a loving dad, how does that feel that your baby is in foster care and shouldn't be?
It just made my heart cry. Like, it's hurt real bad. Because I know we love him, and we take care of him, and we're doing what we're supposed to do. And if caring for him is wrong, then I'm guilty.
If caring for him is wrong, you don't want to be right,
Right.
so to speak. All right. Now how has it affected you, Nakisha? There was another very traumatic situation that occurred in your life as a result of the stress and strain of this circumstance.
I was pregnant, and I lost the baby, and I had to deliver the baby at 5 months.
So the baby was stillborn.
Yes.
Do you to what degree do you feel that your emotional, psychological, physical well-being was to blame in the loss of your child?
Because I wasn't able to eat, I wasn't able to sleep, I didn't want to go to work. It was just like...
You were depressed. And that affected the welfare of your unborn child. So in essence, because of Vanderbilt's misdiagnosis, you've lost 2 babies. Okay? One is incarcerated and the other died. How does that make you feel? How does that make you feel, Mark? I mean, how do you feel? 2 babies at the hands of one institution?
I just feel hurt, and I feel it's not fair.
Yeah, it's not fair, that's for sure. Okay, so 2 babies. The loss of 2 babies. All because of some bureaucratic red tape with DCS and a misdiagnosis by Vanderbilt Medical Center. Is that correct?
Yes.
And both of you work for Vanderbilt.
Yes.
How does it make you feel being employees of Vanderbilt and them not taking care of you as an employee?
It hurts me because I still get emotional when I go over there to work. It's just like I can't be in that place too long.
So you don't get no special privilege being an employee of Vanderbilt. In other words, Vanderbilt is not taking care of its own.
No.
You don't feel that Vanderbilt is taking care of its own.
No, I don't.
Did you feel like a part of the Vanderbilt family before all of this?
Yes.
That's amazing. That is amazing. What a terrible tragedy. How traumatic is this? Oh my goodness. Okay, so you went, once you got the other diagnosis, you went immediately to your caseworker. And how long ago was that?
This was back in April.
So it's been since April, since they know that they've made a mistake and they haven't made any effort to rectify the mistakes that they've made.
Yes.
Okay. All right. We're done. I don't want to hear anymore, honestly. I'm glad we got it on tape. I'm glad we can play this back for somebody. Because it ain't right. It ain't right. This is a form of terrorism as far as I'm concerned. For a child to be taken away from their family for no reason at all, to be incarcerated, and the loss of another child is egregious. And at the end of the day, I'm going to say, they stereotype you young people because you aren't married, you're single, and you're black. And I think that if the situation had been different, with a different couple, I think that they would have done their due diligence to make sure that before they remove a child from somebody's home, they had reason. But on top of that, once the misdiagnosis was realized, they should return this child immediately. We are calling on Vanderbilt and DCS to do the right thing. Return Marcus England to his parents right now. Okay? That's what this is about. Thank you very much. I'm Rodney Beard with Nakisha Moore and Mark England. And we're really upset about this. So we need your help. God bless you. Thank you so much.